So I told one of my employees one day, I said, "Hey, I think I want to make a country rap song." And he was like, "Oh, there already is a guy." And he was talking about Lil Nas X, and I listened to it, and I was like, that's not it."
That's not it. You can do him. Let me do me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, because like to me, country music, if you listen to country music, there's a little bit of Jesus, there's a little bit of family, there's a little bit of everything in it. You know what I mean?
Beer, trucks.
Yeah,
Yep.
stuff like that. But like you hear faith, no matter what, like you hear faith in it a lot of times. Not all of it, but it's a big chunk of it. And so I was like, man, that's missing. These kids, they need people to look up to in country music because they don't the generation that they're growing up in, like hip hop is like completely the number one genre. And so they naturally want to hear hip hop music because it's about being cool and being accepted and things like that. And so I was like, I'm gonna make a country rap song, and I made my song "Big Old Truck," and then like everybody loved it, and so I was like, oh, maybe I should just keep going. And so that's kind of what led me to doing the country rap. Was like I wanted to give something for these kids to have to listen to that was good substance and not just to me trash.
I
You
love that
a lot of
so
it.
incredibly much, especially as my kids are getting more exposure to sound, and influence of music from, cousins who are older, or society through school. And for so long, we've had them in this like our own little shell and bubble, and we always have music playing on in the background, that we feel is wholesome, right? It's all Christian rap, or Christian acoustic, or worship mobs, or anything like that. But it's been really interesting, hearing that exposure. And then when I listened to that music, and music was just such a huge part of my testimony. And I think it's why I'm so connected to so many musicians and artists, is because I went from always loving to dance, always loving music and sound, but the words infiltrating my spirit in such a way that I actually started acting out some of the things that I would hear in music, right? And it's no different than kids listening to rap music now. And it's, still like it was before, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, essentially. And that's actually leading to suicide. It's leading to ostracization in children and youth. It's leading to this ideology of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not all of these things enough. And when I was finally in that experience of life where I transitioned because I met Jesus and my whole life changed, I would go to even just the gym. I went really strict on closing everything out, like eyes, ears, sound, mouth, everything. When I first came to know the Lord, which sounds really like prude and maybe blanketed in a lot of righteousness and religion, but it really was for my sanity and my salvation. It was truly for me to stay alive, because I was in a place of suicidal ideation before that.
Mhm.
So when I went back into the gym, was my exposure to sound. And I was listening to what these women who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s working out in the morning to this rap music. And I am like thinking to myself, like, that is just terrible. It's probably destroying marriages. It's destroying self-image. It's what you're like speaking at 5 a.m. in the morning. Like, these are good women. They're like, putting themselves first. They're doing all of these things. And yet what they're putting into their spirit is negativity. So I'm massively passionate about putting things in our kids' ears and our ears as adults that are fueling positivity and joy and fruits of the spirit, rather than what everything else destruction could be associated to it.
Absolutely, and it's funny you said that because it even affected sometimes. I remember one year, so short story, whenever I decided to completely give my life to Jesus, one of the things that I knew I had to do was cut hip hop out of my music and so or out of my life. And so what I did was is I back, I still had a CD player in my car and that's how I listened to my music. And so I actually took the CD deck out of my car and put just a radio in and only listened to Caleb for 3 years straight. And it was so crazy because like my brothers and all my friends stopped riding with me because every time they got in my car, they had to listen to Caleb, and they freaking
I
hated
know that story. I know that story.
it. And it was just we grew up listening to whatever, and all of a sudden there's this new Dom, and they're just like, "What?"
Yeah, who are you? What
And
happened?
now they all listen to K-Love, and they're all
Ah.
pastors and saved